This upgraded MiG-29 from Ukraine was flying at nap of the Earth at 6:10 a.m. local time. At an altitude of only 164 feet, the fighter prepared to release two AASM hammers straight into the weapons production complex in Bryansk. The jet's electronic displays showed distance, coordinates, wind vector, and a row of green indicators confirming the weapons were ready. Intelligence from Kyiv warned that, on a resupply contract last month, more than 500 Cuban personnel had been transferred to Russia and were now concentrated supporting Putin's forces at the weapons factories. The pilot believed this mission would be routine, not knowing that a signal from an air defense post had just acquired him. Exactly 6:15 a.m., October 30th, 2025. Only 15.5 miles remained to the target. The MiG-29 streaked in the terminal phase. All its radar returns were swallowed by terrain clutter. But as the pilot eased a minor correction, the left wing lifted a few degrees, the radar return changed. 17.3 miles out, on the edge of Dubrovka village, the 9S-36 radar of a Buk M2 unit flickered. A contact. Faint, low, almost lost in ground clutter. The radar operator glanced away to ignore it. Then the contact didn't vanish. Instead, it moved at nearly 560 miles per hour, skirting the edge of the dead zone. 1 second, 2 seconds. The return held. The operator hit the alarm. Low-flying, high-speed target, bearing 217, range 13 miles, altitude under 328 feet. Initiate immediate intercept. The entire AD sector flipped to condition 1. Fire control radars slewed. The Buk control station launched two 9M317s, flames spitting from the rails, whistling like thunder. Missile lock warning screamed in the cockpit, a sustained tone. The HUD flashed. RWR confirmed two 9M317s launched, approaching from the rear right at Mach 3. On the third floor of Tactical Air Command 1, deep inside the Cherkasy sector, warning lights blinked relentlessly. An encrypted uplink returned from the MiG-29. The aircraft had been targeted by air defense. The captain, the mission duty officer, snapped upright, eyes glued to the signal analysis screens. A red track appeared on the 3D tactical map. Two 9M317s from the east at Mach 3, approach angle 30 degrees oblique. Nobody spoke. Since takeoff, the team knew survival odds in the terminal run were roughly 50%. Now, the moment had arrived. No time to think. The pilot hammered the switch. 4 expendable IR decoys erupted from the aircraft's tail, burning bright like a tiny sun. The MiG-29 banked hard left 65 degrees, G-forces pinning the pilot into his seat, vision momentarily blurred. Next came an inverted pull, diving down to just 98 feet, wind screaming, speed needles climbing. He did not reduce throttle. He did not slow. He dove deeper, razor close to the ground. The first missile misslaved to a decoy, detonating early behind the tail at about 262 feet. The blast shook the airframe, metal groaned in the cockpit. The second missile continued pursuit, but by then, the MiG-29 had entered the gun radar dead zone. Only seconds of self-guidance remained. The pilot executed the final jink, hard right, cutting across the forest edge while dispensing a second salvo of flares. A flash lit the sky behind. Then, a dry boom. No more warning signals. Immediately after the second Buk M2 missile detonated behind the target without effect, the entire Bryansk air defense network was raised to alert level 2. The 96 L6E early warning radar synchronized tracks with neighboring complexes. On the screen, a single contact sharpened. Weak return, low altitude, but speed and vector indicated a fighter closing on the city's eastern industrial zone. An R330ZHEW vehicle activated, broadcasting GPS jamming across the factory area. An automatic engage order was routed to a Tor M2 unit positioned in the woods over 5 miles from the plant. Two 9M338 missiles were launched nearly simultaneously in soft-lock mode, combining active radar homing and a cutting intercept trajectory to block the aircraft's escape corridor. The duty officer, a Russian lieutenant with interceptor experience, watched the launch with quiet confidence. He believed Tor would finish the job. Range, speed, and launch angles were nominal. But the contact vanished from the fire control screen. No detonation cues, no impact signature. The MiG-29 had slipped off the control display, dropping back into the radar dead zone as it hugged the Earth. Less than 9.3 miles away, the final air defense battery had not yet traversed its guns. The hostile jet had beaten every layer of interception, entering the target area at nearly 560 miles per hour. In the command center, officers realized they had just let a MiG-29 through, at the precise moment when nothing could stop it. At 6:17 a.m., the MiG-29 raced toward the release point at nearly 560 miles per hour, approaching at a near perpendicular angle to the factory roofline. Altitude rose just enough for the INS to calibrate the target coordinates. GPS and INS data from the navigation pod confirmed target lock complete. The bomb release moment came in a single heartbeat. On the wings, 2 AASM hammer bombs, each 550, dropped sequentially from their pylons. Stabilizing fins unfolded almost instantly, and the small rocket boosters ignited within half a second, pushing each bomb into a low supersonic glide path. The MiG immediately rolled left and dove for altitude. The cockpit shook lightly as aerodynamic pressure shifted, wind screaming past the canopy. Below, the 2 AASMs followed independent trajectories with pre-calculated offset angles. One aimed for the center of the ammunition packing building, the other locked onto the explosive storage warehouse where nitrocellulose drums were stacked along the walls. Bomb release complete. The MiG-29 was out of the danger zone. The sky behind remained empty, but the ground wouldn't stay that way for another 14 seconds. On the fire control radar of the TOR M2 unit near the plant, still distorted by prior interceptor detonations, an anomaly appeared. 2 small objects just emerged. Weak signals, faint returns, climbing in altitude. Their speed was modest, but the signatures didn't match UAVs. The AI recognition algorithm classified them as unidentified, high risk, approaching from 13,000 feet. Instantly, a 9M338K missile launched. On the ground, the control crew calculated intercept time, less than 4 seconds to lock, but the AASM was subtly altering altitude and glide vector. Flying low with radar-absorbent coating, cross-section under 0.05 square meters, the bomb stayed intermittently visible. Lock held for brief bursts, then lost again. The first interceptor failed to match azimuth drift. Within 0.7 seconds of impact window, the 9M338 lost lock entirely. The AASM had already descended too low, its radar signature drowned in terrain clutter. The missile detonated prematurely in mid-air, too far to inflict damage. The system switched to the second target, the remaining AASM diving from the southeast, closing in just above the chemical storage roof. A 30mm cannon from a Panzer S-1 spun up. Data from its 1RS-2 radar barely caught a faint reflection. The 2 A-38M autocannon rotated, but even at 90 degrees per second, it couldn't track the steep cross-angle approach. The intercept window was too short. Within 2 seconds, the entire burst streaked wide of the target. No time left for recalculation. The bombs had passed beyond reaction range. The first AASM pierced a thin cloud layer at low altitude, holding steady. Its fins quivered slightly as it fine-tuned the final attack angle. From 13,000 feet, the main factory complex came into view, a silver-roofed structure 196 feet long, corrugated metal plating, inside filled with artillery packing and propellant lines. The second bomb, 420 feet away, targeted the chemical storage wing. 3 moss-green concrete buildings packed with cellulose and nitroglycerin drums for explosive production. The first bomb punched through the metal roof without exploding. Its steel casing created a neat, silent hole. Less than half a second after hitting the second-floor slab, the warhead detonated. At the Bryansk Control Center, internal surveillance feeds went dark within 0.4 seconds. The final transmitted frame showed a blurred white flash, then blackout. The first blast produced no fireball, only a dense shockwave that crushed the steel frame. Support beams bent, walls cracked, conveyor systems shattered. The second bomb struck dead center on the chemical storage roof. At first, a brief white flash, then a vertical column of fire erupted 130 feet high, glowing deep orange, the telltale color of nitrate combustion in open air. The explosion's shock radius, 980 feet, shattered every window nearby. Thermal pressure lifted sheet metal roofs like foil. From above, Ukrainian reconnaissance satellites recorded a star-shaped burn pattern, the hallmark of chain reaction fires in open chemical facilities. Fire alarms began wailing, but it was already too late. The entire industrial complex was split in half, warped, flames engulfing the main production floor and the explosive storage block. A precision strike, hitting the structural weak point, executed in under 3 minutes from the moment the MiG-29 crossed the border. Thick black smoke twisted upward in dense spirals, acrid with burning chemicals and molten synthetics. Temperature at ground zero exceeded 1,650 degrees Fahrenheit, enough to vaporize wiring, machinery, and human bodies within 80 feet of impact. The main factory hall had vanished from satellite view. What remained were fractured beams, crumbled walls, and glowing sheets of smoldering metal. A plant fire truck lay overturned, flung from its garage by the blast. 2 firefighters lay on the roadside, their suits half burned. One still moved, but couldn't stand. In the southern technical offices, the glass ceiling collapsed, plastic partitions shredded, desks hurled against walls. 8 Cuban technicians and nearly 50 workers on the night shift, vaporized instantly. The plant's security personnel first believed it was an internal accident, but moments later, from the watchtower, guards saw a contrail against the dawn sky, the escape path of a hostile fighter. The main power grid was gone. Red emergency lights blinked through smoke-filled corridors. In the basement housing lithium batteries for military UAVs, temperature spiked, secondary explosion risk rising fast. Bryansk Military District Command received the first emergency call from rescue teams. A major section of the ammunition and propellant complex had been completely destroyed. The strike delivered not only physical destruction, but psychological, media, and political shockwaves. A surgical blow, at the perfect moment, at the weakest point, and no one expected that the first to die on Russian soil that morning would be carrying Cuban passports.